All right. Ready to dive deep today.
Always ready. Let's do it.
Awesome. So today, we're tackling something that I think we've all encountered at some point in our relationships.
Yeah, that's.
Sneaky little, well, not so little, feeling of contempt.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be using Shaman Jon Rasmussen's blog to help us unpack this, figure out like how to recognize it and ultimately how to overcome it. Because,
Yeah.
healthy relationships, that's what we're all about.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And contempt is definitely a major obstacle to that.
Right.
Right.
Like at first, it's almost like, oh, we're just getting comfy with each other.
Yeah.
But then that comfort can kind of like, I don't know.
It sours.
Yeah, it's sour.
Right.
It can totally turn toxic.
Yeah. And Rasmussen actually points out that contempt is the #1 reason relationships break down.
Wow. The #1 reason.
#1.
Okay, so then how does this happen? Like, do we just wake up one morning and bam, we're filled with contempt?
Well, he describes what he calls like a slippery slope of relationship decline. It starts with all the good stuff, the elation, the enthusiasm, the confidence, but then it kind of slowly starts to shift into caution,
Mm-hmm.
suspicion, doubt, and then before you know it, boom, you're in the pit of contempt.
Oh, wow. So it's like this gradual chipping away of trust and respect.
Exactly.
I see.
And what's interesting is the role that familiarity plays in this. As we get to know our partners better, right, we become more aware of their flaws.
Right.
And we all have them, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
But sometimes instead of accepting those, we start to see them as reasons to be annoyed, critical, or even disgusted.
Yeah, totally. You think about those early days, everything's new, exciting, and we overlook those little quirks, but then they become everyday things.
Right.
And they start to grate on you a little bit.
Yeah, the rose-colored glasses come off,
Yeah.
and then it's like, wait, this is who they are.
Exactly. So let's say we're starting to recognize these signs, right? Like maybe we're snapping at our partner a little more, we're rolling our eyes. What can we do about it?
Right.
Rasmussen's a shaman.
Yeah.
He's got to have some interesting approaches to this.
He does. One of the things he brings up is something called north work,
Northwork. Okay.
which is about shedding your ego,
Okay.
your attachments, all those preconceived notions that you have, and doing this on a daily basis.
Whoa, that sounds intense. How do you even, begin to shed your ego?
Think of it like hitting the reset button
Oh,
on your perception,
Mhm.
almost like having that childlike openness
I see.
to where you can see things anew each day.
Okay, so is it like a meditation practice? Journaling?
Well, he uses the analogy of a hummingbird.
Okay.
You know how they go into this hibernation state every night?
Yeah,
It's like they're dying and being reborn every single day.
that's deep.
It is. So yeah, it's about shifting your entire mindset, approaching each day, each interaction with a fresh perspective.
So it makes me think of that saying, don't go to bed angry.
Yeah.
But it's not just about resolving the conflict, but also about letting go of those negative feelings, starting fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about releasing the grudges, the resentments that can just build up,
Yeah.
poison the relationship.
Okay, so Northwork is about shedding those old ways of thinking, seeing things with new eyes. But he also talks about shadow work
Yeah.
being really essential for combating this. Can you tell me a little bit more about that for those of us who may not be familiar with the concept?
Sure. Shadow work is about exploring those hidden parts of ourselves, the things that we don't necessarily want to face
Yeah.
or confront. And those can actually get projected onto our partners,
Oh, wow.
which can lead to contempt.
So we might be seeing something in them that we dislike in ourselves.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So are there specific types of projections that we should be aware of?
There are. They can manifest in both negative and positive ways. Negatives like what we were just talking about. Maybe you criticize your partner for being messy,
Yeah.
but deep down, you struggle with your own sense of order
Oh, yeah.
and control.
Right. So it's easier to point the finger outward than to really look inward.
Exactly. But there's also the positive shadow projection.
Okay.
This is where we idealize someone,
Uh-huh.
put them on a pedestal, expect them to be perfect.
Oh, I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
So especially in those early days, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this person is amazing. They're going to fulfill all of my needs.
And then, inevitably, they fall short of those unrealistic expectations.
Right.
They reveal their human flaws, and we're left feeling disappointed,
Yes.
even contemptuous.
So instead of asking, what's wrong with them?
Right.
Maybe the real question is, what part of myself am I projecting onto this?
Exactly. Powerful insight.
Yeah, that is powerful. And it leads me to something else that Rasmussen says. Don't confuse the teacher with a teaching. How does that apply to relationships?
Think of it like this. The lover is not the same as love itself.
Okay.
The friend is not the same as support.
Got it.
The gift is not the same as the wrapping paper.
So appreciate the qualities, but don't get them mixed up with the actual person.
Exactly. It's like enjoying a meal
Yeah.
without being overly attached to the chef who made it.
That's a really helpful distinction to
Yeah.
make, because when you merge the person with the quality, it's easy to be let down when they don't live up to that
Right.
idealized image.
Exactly. And that's where the contempt can take root.
Right.
It's like you're punishing them
For not being perfect.
for not being who you think they should be.
Wow. This is giving me a lot to think about. So we've got north work, we've got shadow work,
Right.
and not confusing the teacher with the teaching. That's a lot to unpack, but before we get too overwhelmed, I think it's important to touch on something that Rasmussen quotes from Alice Miller. And she says, contempt is the weapon of the weak, and a defense against one's own despised and unwanted feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty powerful, right?
It is. It really challenges us to look at where this is coming from.
Yeah.
If contempt is coming from a place of weakness,
Yeah.
what does that say about the strength in appreciation and understanding?
Ooh, that's a great question. And it leads us perfectly to the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some actual strategies for shifting from contempt to a deeper connection.
I can't wait.
Awesome. We'll be right back.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back, and we've uncovered some serious truth bombs about how contempt can, like, slither its way into our relationships.
Right.
But now I'm really interested to explore some practical strategies for shifting out of that and cultivating genuine appreciation.
Yeah, it's like we've identified the disease.
Right.
Now we need the cure.
Exactly, and I'm all ears because, I mean, who hasn't felt a little bit of contempt, at some point?
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's towards a partner, a friend, family member. It's like a human experience, right?
Yeah, totally. And we've talked about, like, the north work, the shadow work, but those are, like, ongoing practices.
Right.
But what we need are, like, some in-the-moment tools.
Yeah.
When you feel that contempt bubbling up.
Okay, so what are some of those tangible steps that Rasmussen suggests?
One that he really emphasizes is to actively look for the good in your partner.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what's annoying you.
Yeah.
Make a conscious effort to notice their strengths, the things they do that you appreciate.
It's hard when you're, like, in that negative headspace.
It is.
Because, our brains are kind of wired to focus on what's wrong.
They are. But like any skill, it takes practice.
Right.
So think of it as like a mental workout.
Okay.
Each time you catch yourself having a contemptuous thought, try to counter it with a positive one.
So instead of thinking, oh, they always leave the dishes in the sink, it's like, well, I really appreciate how hard they work to provide for our family or whatever it might be. Okay, I see, yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of gratitude. Just taking a moment each day to reflect on what you appreciate can make a big difference.
With, like, what you focus on expands. So if you're dwelling on the negative, that's all you're going to see.
That's right.
But if you're looking for the good,
you're
going to start noticing more and more of it.
Absolutely. And it's not just about thinking it, it's about expressing it.
Okay.
Let your partner know.
Oh, but actually tell them.
Yeah.
That always feels a little awkward.
I know.
But it's important.
It is. Trust me, those words of affirmation are powerful.
Okay.
Just a simple thank you.
Yes.
A genuine compliment.
Yeah.
And I love you.
Yeah.
Can go such a long way.
Do you have to, like, come up with these big, profound statements all the time?
Not at all.
Because sometimes those feel forced,
They do. And Rasmussen actually emphasizes those small acts of kindness.
Oh, okay.
A thoughtful note.
Yeah.
A cup of coffee. A listening ear. Those little things speak volumes.
I love that. It's like those little love notes people used to leave.
Exactly.
Or surprising someone with their favorite snack.
Yes, it shows that you care.
Exactly.
And you're thinking about them. And the beauty of it is it creates this positive feedback loop.
Oh.
So when you feel appreciated, you're more likely to do the same.
Right. So it's a win-win.
It is.
It's like, we get to feel good about expressing appreciation.
Yeah.
And our partner feels loved.
Yeah.
It just kind of spreads out.
It's a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we start consciously choosing appreciation over contempt, we're going to see a shift not just in our relationships, but in ourselves.
Absolutely. It's like upgrading your internal software.
Yes. I love that analogy.
Get rid of the old programs.
Right.
Put in something new.
Yes.
More positive, more life-affirming.
I love it. So it's not about being perfect or never experiencing conflict, but about becoming more resilient.
Exactly.
More compassionate. And speaking of resilience,
yes,
there's another aspect that I think is worth talking about.
Yeah. Rasmussen talks about the importance of discernment, but not in the way we usually think about it.
Okay.
He says it's not about judging people,
Right.
labeling them as good or bad.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices
Hmm.
from a place of clear, neutral energy.
So it's not about abandoning discernment,
Right.
but refining it,
Exactly.
making sure it's not coming from a place of contempt.
Exactly.
Thanks,
And
man.
he reminds us we don't have to stay in relationships that are toxic or harmful.
Right.
But the key is to make those decisions
Yeah.
from a place of wisdom and clarity, not just from an emotional reaction.
So it's like taking a step back and asking yourself, is this relationship serving me?
Exactly.
Is it aligned with my values,
Yes.
my goals?
And even more importantly,
Yeah.
am I approaching this from a place of love or fear?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because if it's fear, fear of being alone, fear of change, fear of what other people will think,
Right.
that's where contempt can really cloud your judgment.
Okay, so how do you cultivate that clear, neutral energy?
Well, he talks about connecting with your inner wisdom, that
Yeah.
quiet place within,
Yeah.
where you can access your intuition and make decisions from a place of calm.
So it's not ignoring your feelings, but creating space
Right.
between the emotion and the action.
Exactly. It's about responding, not reacting.
Okay, so much good stuff here. I feel like these seemingly small shifts can have huge ripple effects in our relationships.
They really can.
It's like changing your perspective can change everything.
Absolutely.
And there's one more tool from Rasmussen that I think is really powerful, and that's visualization.
Oh, yes.
He suggests taking some time to envision the relationship you desire.
Yes.
So you're saying, like, actually picture what a healthy, loving relationship looks like.
Exactly. Engage your imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Align your energy with that possibility.
I've heard of that with goal setting. You know, if you can see it, you can achieve it.
Same principle applies to relationships.
Interesting.
By creating that mental picture,
Yeah,
you're starting to attract those experiences.
that's empowering.
It is. You have more control than you realize.
I love that. So we've talked about looking for the good, expressing appreciation, making conscious choices,
Right.
tapping into that inner wisdom, and really visualizing the relationships we want.
Yeah, it's a whole toolkit.
It is a toolkit. This is fantastic.
And as you practice these, you'll find that love and connection really become those guiding forces.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
So much good stuff. And before we wrap up, I want to go back to the idea of contempt as that weapon of the weak.
Yeah,
That quote from Alice Miller really stuck with me.
it's powerful.
So if it comes from that place of powerlessness, then what's the antidote?
Right.
Where's the strength?
That's a great question. And it leads us to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore the transformative power of appreciation and how it can not only heal our relationships, but awaken a deeper sense of strength within ourselves.
Okay, so we're back and ready to like wrap up our deep dive into, conquering contempt. And I have to say, I'm feeling optimistic.
Yeah, me too. We've gone from like relationship despair to, possibility.
Right. We've talked about the shadow work, north work, choosing appreciation. And now I'm really curious about that last thought you left us with,
Oh, yeah.
about appreciation as a source of strength.
Yeah,
Can you unpack that a little bit more?
for sure. So, remember that quote from Alice Miller about contempt being the weapon of the weak?
Yeah.
Well, if we kind of turn that around, it suggests that appreciation is actually a sign of inner strength.
Okay, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But how so? Like, how is appreciation linked to strength?
Well, think about it. It takes courage to be vulnerable, right? To open yourself up to another person.
Yeah.
Flaws and all. It takes strength to choose understanding over judgment, to see the good even when you're feeling hurt or frustrated.
It's like we're reframing appreciation as an act of defiance almost, like against negativity.
Exactly. And the more we practice it, the stronger we get.
So it's like a muscle. The
Yeah.
more we use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah. Think of it like working out at the emotional gym.
So the more we work on appreciation, the more equipped we are to handle those relationship challenges, right?
Exactly. And as we build up those inner resources, we're less likely to, react with contempt. We can approach things with a little more level-headedness.
I see, yeah. Makes me think about those people who just radiate warmth and kindness,
Mm.
you know? They always see the best in others,
Right.
even when they're going through tough times. It's like they have this well of strength that they can draw from.
Exactly. And it's not to say they don't experience negative emotions, they've just developed the skills to navigate them
Yeah.
without letting them take over.
So how do we cultivate that kind of resilience? We talked about gratitude, looking for the good, but are there other ways to really strengthen those appreciation muscles?
There are. One that Rasmussen talks about is visualizing appreciation flowing from you to the other person.
Wait, so you're saying, like, I can direct appreciation?
Yeah. It might sound a little out there, but give it a try. Close your eyes, picture the person, and imagine like this warm light flowing from your heart to theirs.
Okay, interesting. It's like sending them a telepathic hug, kind of.
Exactly. And even if you're not into the whole energy thing, just focusing on those positive feelings can really change how you feel.
It's like we're retraining our brains to go to appreciation first, instead of that negativity.
Exactly.
So, to recap, overcoming contempt isn't just about avoiding negative thoughts and behaviors. It's about actively choosing appreciation for ourselves and others.
Exactly. And as we do this, we discover this incredible strength that helps us through those ups and downs that are inevitable in relationships.
It's like choosing love over judgment every time.
Yeah. Well said. And the best part is, this isn't just some feel-good philosophy. It's backed by science.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Studies show that gratitude practices can improve our health, happiness, even our immune systems.
Wow. Appreciation really is a superpower.
It is. And I think that's a powerful message to leave our listeners with. We've spent this deep dive exploring contempt, and I hope everyone leaves feeling equipped to choose love, understanding, and that inner strength that comes with appreciation.
I love that. Thanks for joining us on this journey, deep divers. And remember, keep your hearts open, minds curious, and keep practicing that appreciation. See you next time.